Welcome, Dr. Christoph Roevekamp. I'm going to go back very quickly to our schedule for today. So really the last section, as I said earlier, it will be for the next 30 minutes. And the idea is a deep dive on Germany's agenda for green hydrogen, especially with working and partnering with Africa throughout the continent. We've already touched a little bit on this through the SASCAL project. There's a lot more to be said on this topic. And to tell us about all the different plans, well, I'm very, very pleased to welcome Dr. Christoph Roevekamp. As you can see, Dr. Roevekamp has extensive experience in research and academia. He's also visiting associate professor and visiting honorary professor in universities across Africa. He's very deeply involved on the continent with a PhD in political science. And I couldn't help, Dr. Roevekamp, to know the title of your thesis back in 2004, which was on teleworking and time use and change of employment and daily life. I think this has nothing to do with the topic of today, but it's extremely timely as we are all engaging in today's e-conference. So yes. Anyway, that was a word apart. Dr. Roevekamp, thank you very much for accepting the invitation. I will give you the control now on your presentation. You should be able to see the slides, but if for some reason this is not working properly, please let me know and I will change the slides for you. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, John, for this really kind introduction, and thank you very much for organizing this really important conference. And as the colleagues before mentioned, it is just the right time because from our point of view, green hydrogen is really the hottest topic regarding the energy supply and is one of the most important future topics, especially also in the field of international cooperation, because green hydrogen is really a global topic and we need the global cooperation and the international cooperation. And I'm really glad to present you some of our activities, especially in the field of green hydrogen and the cooperation with Africa. How do I change the slide, John?
It's okay. I will do it for you. It seems the feature is not
okay.
Proper.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will change the slides.
Thank you very much. Next one, please. Okay, this one I think is really important because it shows the opportunities, the huge opportunities for the whole continent. And as you may know, in Germany, we phase out coal in the next years. We phase out nuclear energy as well. And Africa, from my point of view, really has the chance to take from the early beginning a sustainable path, because now is the time to set up the energy supply for the future. And this means for us, it should be a green future. It should be green technologies, renewable energies, and as well the green hydrogen. And therefore, the opportunity is really there to do leapfrogging, means just take the right technologies for the future and take a sustainable path in the energy supply. So you see, it is also a question that Africa goes the own specific way, and it means that the local use should be, from our point of view, the first step that Africa should take. And then everyone is talking about the geostrategic chances as well. That's true. But the first step should be going and developing the infrastructures, the capacities in the renewables on the continent for the local use and for the benefit of the countries and the populations. And then in a second step, there could be also the opportunity for the export, as most of the discussions before addressed this topic. Next one, please. Here you see we are really interested in the cooperation with Africa, and on a political level we use different options for this. For example, we have special scientific and technological cooperations. We have also memoranda of understandings, and we have bilateral calls. Here, for example, we mentioned some of them: South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Ghana, and Egypt I mentioned already. So you see, this is a broad range of political options, and we are really fostering our activities with Africa in the different fields. It is not only the topic of energy, it is also the topic of climate action, the land use, but also the topic of health, for example. So we see really a lot of potential, especially in these fields I mentioned before. And I think in the future, this will be also deepening more and more, that we have, for example, in the field of water desalination, also projects. I will get back to this later. Next one, John, please. This is, I think, really important to know, that we have launched a special Africa strategy as well. So this is the second version of our Africa strategy. We launched this strategy in 2018, and there is also a nice amount of money for funding. So within this strategy, we will spend about 300 million euros for cooperation, especially with academics, so means with scientists, research institutions all over the continent. And some of the aspects we would like to address is that we foster cooperation in the field of innovation. We also are actively in the field of capacity building. And also we would like to strengthen the cooperation, not only with Germany, but also with European partners and the whole continent. So you see, it is a broad range of things we are pushing forward. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the topic I would like to really go a little bit deeper. It is our national hydrogen strategy. You know that we have discussed this topic some time ago within all the ministries and the German government. And in 2020, in June last year, we adopted this strategy in our cabinet. And as you see, there were a lot of ministries involved. So hydrogen is not only a topic for a global or international cooperation. For us, it meant also that we have an initiative or activity that needed the cooperation across all ministries. And I think this is really important to mention. It is not only about science and innovation. We need this, and we will need this in the future as well. But it's also a question of a new regulatory framework. So you need to find ways, for example, that we decline the cost of the production of the green hydrogen. Some of the guys mentioned this before. We need the cost competitiveness of green hydrogen, and this is the way we would like to go for, because the green one is really the sustainable one we would like to push in the future. So I think it's really important that we see the setting up of a global hydrogen economy means that we have also to go forward in a systemic approach. This is important, a systemic approach. So we have to look at the whole value chain. It means not only the generation, it means also the transport and the use. Some of the aspects that were discussed before were, for example, the transportation. It is right. We have to look at the different forms of transportation. For example, the liquid, the gas, or the using of the pipelines, maybe the existing pipelines, but also for new forms like the LOHC as well. And then we see this all depends as well on the use cases. It is important that we have a deeper look at the use cases. For example, here in Germany, we have a lot of companies, especially in the field of the steel production, but also in chemistry. They will need high amounts of green hydrogen to reduce the carbon footprint of their companies. And this means it is important to know what kind of hydrogen and in what form of hydrogen they can use this. So it is a question of the transportation and the delivery, and also a question of the cost. So for example, you know, and this was also mentioned from Professor Van Wyk, that the transportation costs, we have to include this when we look at the cost competitiveness of the use of the green hydrogen, for example, here in Germany. But there are some interesting analyses in this field that the costs of transportation maybe are about 5 up to 8% from the whole cost that we see. So this is really interesting to see, and we are doing a lot of research, for example, now in the field of the generation. For example, we fund a large project where we integrate the wind turbines and the electrolyzers in one machine. So we can use this, for example, then in the offshore regions. It is really an interesting way to generate the green hydrogen. And also, this is important, we need to decline the cost, not only of the production, but also of the production of the electrolyzers. So the electrolyzers are now manufactured in a tailor-made way. So that's why we see we need to push this topic forward, that we go into the gigawatt classes per year, because most of the electrolyzers that are used now are about 50 megawatt. There was the project in NEOM in Saudi Arabia mentioned before by Prof. Van Wyk, and it is 50 megawatt from Thyssen and NEOM. And if you go into some of the German projects here, we are going up to 100 megawatt here in Germany for demonstrator projects. But if we want to really have a rollout of this, a larger diffusion, it means we need more megawatt, we need gigawatt. And our aim here in Germany is that we would like to set up 5 gigawatt electrolyzer capacity in the next 10 years. And till 2040, we would then go for more. 5 gigawatt means at least 10 gigawatt here in Germany, electrolyzer capacity till 2040. And I would also mention one of the, I think, most important aspects, the international cooperation and international partnerships. So you see, to be honest, Germany relies on imports of energy. Now, these are fossil, for example, gas and oil. And in the future, this will be clear and must be green. So we need green imports. And that's the green hydrogen is, as you know, it can be used as a carrier and you can store it. So it's a wonderful or beautiful way to increase the use of green energy. And we are really, we need this. For example, we have first analyzed that in 2030, we will need here in Germany about 100 terawatt on green energy in Germany. And therefore, in our recovery package, there are about 2 billion euros for international cooperation. So I think this is really a good message. There is funding available, and we are really fostering international cooperations around the world. And Africa is for us of special interest. Next one, please. Yeah, we are clearly convinced that the green hydrogen will be the future, and there are a lot of positive impacts. For us, we see it is a way for a sustainable economy. It means also new job opportunities, and it's a wonderful way to combat climate change. So these are clear impacts that we would like to address as Ministry of Education and Research here in Germany. And we are responsible in the government for the basic, but also for application-oriented research, especially here in the fields of renewable energy, sustainable energy systems, and green hydrogen technologies. And I would like to mention that we are really focusing on three aspects, means the capacity building, research and development and innovation, and the scientific exchange as well. And I think it's really important that we are discussing also the scaling up of activities. I think this is really important. I mentioned the megawatt class, and we need to go forward also in the projects in the future. Means, for example, we are thinking about demonstrator projects in Africa up to 100 megawatt, so that we really see the production is possible, and we would like also to develop business cases in Africa to show that there is really a setting up of a green hydrogen economy possible, not only in Africa, but in other countries of the world as well. We are cooperating with Australia, for example. We are now also going to Southern America. So you see it is a broad range, but Africa is really the continent and the place where we will push in the next years a lot of things. And I think this is also important to mention. We need international cooperation also in the field of certification, because it is necessary. What is green? So if we want to reduce the carbon footprint of a company, we must know what is green and what is green inside of the hydrogen. So we need the international standardization, and we also need the international certification of green hydrogen. I think this is one of the aspects that we should also push forward, especially in the cooperation with African partners, but also with partners from around the world. Next one, please, John. Yes, because you are members of an African association in the field of renewables, I think it's beautiful to mention for you that we really are cooperating by now with about 32 countries on the continent. And as you see here are some in the map are green highlighted, and Jane Allwatch is also here participant in this really nice conference, and Sascal is our partner for the southern region of Africa, and we have a sister center, it's called Wascal. It's located in Accra for the ECOWAS countries, and I think this is also important that we have fundings about 45 million euros so far, and about 26 million of this are going directly to African partners. So they really benefit from the fundings here from the Ministry of Education and Research in Germany. Next one, please. I think this should give you an impression that we are really active on the continent, and these are all projects in the field of renewables, also in the field of hydrogen. And you see there is a broad range of activities we are now funding. And for example, it is the generation, the use of the renewables in the field of healthcare. Also, we have a deeper look at the distribution and the transportation aspects, for example, regarding off-grid regions or networks. And also, we have here a deeper look at the food production, for example, with new PV drying systems. So you see, this picture should give you an overview about the countries where we are funding project, but also the range of activities we are pushing forward. And as you see in the last line, we are cooperating with all 15 ECOWAS countries and with all 16 SADC countries in the field of green hydrogen. Next one. I think this one we can shift. So next one, please. Yeah, Dr. Olwatch mentioned already the H2 Atlas Africa, and I think this is really a beautiful project because it covers 31 of the 54 African countries, and we have here strong partners with one of the most famous German research institutions. It's the Forschungszentrum Jülich. There we have a coordinator. He's originally from Nigeria, and we are now building bridges with this atlas to the 31 countries in Africa. And we are also glad that, for example, SACRI and ECRI are partners as well in this initiative. Next one, please. Yeah, Dr. Olwatch mentioned some of the details of this green hydrogen atlas, and I think, and I would like to stress this, this is really a comprehensive study that we are conducting with the help of local teams in the different countries, and there will be a lot of data available, and I think this data is really useful for decision takers in economy, but also for politicians, also for scientists, because these data will show us where are the best locations for the production of the green hydrogen in the 31 countries. And I think this is also important to mention that we are not looking only at solar and wind. I think it's also important to mention there are a lot of countries with hydro potential. I think this is also important to mention because at the end of the day, it will also be a question of the full load hours of the electrolyzers. And for example, with hydro, we have full load hours about 7,000 hours. And this is really a competitive number. And also, I would stress or highlight one aspect that we have a deeper look at the topic of water, you know, and this was also part of the discussions before. When we produce 1 kilogram hydrogen, therefore you need 10 kilogram water. So water is really a resource that we need for this production. And then we have a look at what kind of water is available. So it is not only the groundwater, the rainwater. We are also analyzing in this atlas the potential of the desalination, because this is also, or could be a further benefit, that the water then is not only used for the production of the green hydrogen, it should be and could be also used in the domestic sector, in agriculture as well. So I think this is a co-benefit that we should address, especially in the countries where droughts are or where really water is a scarce resource. And the infrastructures are also important. So I would like to highlight the aspect for transportation, especially for the export to Europe or other countries. Therefore, you need deep sea harbors. So one of the indicators we are looking at is the infrastructures, especially where do we find deep sea harbors, and are they available also for the export of different forms of hydrogen? Because we are not only talking about gas, I think we have to look at this as well, but also for the liquid hydrogen. And one of the experts mentioned this before. I think it's also interesting to look at the export via ammonia or via methanol. So this is really important, that there are a lot of data available. And I would like to mention that we will get data also for the levelized cost of electricity, the levelized cost of hydrogen, then the full load hours, and as well, we are looking at the local impact of the green hydrogen production in the different countries and the technical potential of the green hydrogen itself. Next one, John. This is really one of our latest initiatives that we have started. It's a graduate school program on green hydrogen. So in the next years, we would like to set up different batches, 3 batches, so that young students in Africa can get the international master's degree in energy and green hydrogen technology. This will be a fully financed scholarship by our ministry. It will run 24 months. Also, a stay in Germany is included in this graduate school program. So I think it's really an interesting opportunity for now the ECOWAS countries, but we are also thinking about a rollout in other countries as well. But now we start with the first batch, and students can now apply for this graduate school program on green hydrogen. Next one, please. Yeah, this is the last slide. I would like to just give you a short information about what are the next plans we are working on. First one is we would like to set up green hydrogen pilot projects in Africa, especially on the results or based on the results of the H2 Atlas. We are already in discussions with some countries. I would like to mention Namibia, South Africa. There are also some special aspects we would like to go for example, the production of sustainable aviation fuels. I think this is one of the major aspects. Also for the CO2 reduction, we would like to intensify here our cooperation also with the partners from industry. So the clear message will be, or is, we would like to set up green hydrogen pilot projects on the continent, as well as renewable energy projects that are linked with the production of the green hydrogen. And I think it's also of interest for you or your partners that there was the launch of a call from the European Union. So you can apply with proposals till the 1st of April. And the last activity I would like to mention is that we are funding the exchange of African and German researchers, and therefore we will launch a mobilization call. Thank you so much. These were my aspects I would like to give to your attention, and thanks again for availing time. Thanks again for having this opportunity to be part of this great conference. Thanks, John, and thanks to all the colleagues.
Thank you, Dr. Roevekamp. There were many questions during the entire session today about how can we build more partnerships, international partnerships. How can we share more knowledge? How can we here in Africa improve what we can do about developing more green hydrogen? I think your presentation was spot on to answer all these questions. Of course, as I said many times, I will be sharing the Q&A with all our speakers and panelists today. So some of these questions were about, we have a project, we want to do things in the green hydrogen space. Definitely we will create that connection with Dr. Roevekamp and his team so that you can continue that discussion. We are almost done, but I would like to challenge our panelists and speakers who are still with us right now, if they can please turn on their microphone and their cameras, because I would like to ask you 4 very quick questions. that I have selected among the many questions that we have received today. And the challenge would be to answer these questions in only 1 minute maximum. I know it's very, very challenging, but just for the sport. There were recurring questions about conversion losses, about generating green electricity, storing this into hydrogen, and then again, transforming this into electricity. What about these conversion losses, and who is brave enough to take that first question? Professor Van Weyck, yes.
Yes, I have seen that question also in the Q&A. I have answered some of these questions already by typing, but the conversion losses is not the issue. It is about system cost, and you have to look to the production cost, to the transportation and the storage cost, and that is all that you have to take into account. And that's the main issue when you're creating a renewable energy system. And let me give one example why that is interesting and why it is different in a fossil fuel cell system than in a renewable system. In Africa, you have a higher irradiation. So the same solar panel has a yield that is 2 to 3 times as much as in Germany, for example. So you could say the efficiency of that solar panel compared to Germany is 250%. And if you then calculate all the conversion losses, then that solar panel, even when you go back to electricity, which isn't necessary, is even higher. The yield of that solar panel by converting to hydrogen and converting back than the yield of that solar panel in Germany. So it is a strange thing, efficiency in a renewable energy system, and therefore look to the system cost and not to the system efficiency.
Thank you very much. Very, very clear answer. Thank you. Next question. Is there a potential for hydrogen transport by roads, as opposed to, we've talked about ships, we've talked about pipelines. What about transportation on roads?
May I ask? May I?
Yes, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Of course, when you transport liquid hydrogen, for example, by ship to a harbor site, it was also mentioned by the previous speaker, then you have to transport it to fueling stations, for example, and that can be done also by liquid hydrogen by truck, because liquid hydrogen, you can take much more energy in a liquid form in the truck than that you can do that in a compressed form. And you see also today, for example, in California, Air Liquide, they are building liquefaction plants to bring the hydrogen by truck, liquefied hydrogen, to the hydrogen stations. And there you have another advancement. Okay, that is technical, but this is really an interesting thing. The same as you do today with liquefied natural gas, LNG. So that is also one of the things. So inland transportation, not over the longer distance, but inland to the fueling stations can be done or by pipeline or by, in the end, liquefied hydrogen, or by ammonia even. So there are many solutions for that.
Thank you very much. I see that Dr. Jane, Dr. Christoph, and Amy Halliday are also with us. If you want to take one of these 2 following questions, please turn on your mic and your video, and so you will be able to Vincent, of course. Maybe one of these questions for you, Vincent. We understand that policies will be important for a smooth development of green hydrogen across Africa. Has any African country already developed a strong enough policy set of rules to actually engage into green hydrogen?
I think Morocco definitely has. Maybe Mr. Hirt can comment on that. South Africa is really working on this, and should be released somewhere this year. What I know from Namibia as well, and other countries, I think they are still sort of checking on the opportunity, because it's still relatively new. And I'll also often say to people, a year ago it was not such a hot topic yet in Europe, but now it's in every policy. So I have the feeling these example countries in Africa, they really can inspire the others as well, and accelerate. And I think also projects like the Hydrogen Atlas really accelerate this adoption into policies as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. And the last question for today, which I find particularly interesting. Let's imagine green hydrogen is a big success tomorrow. Who will be the losers?
In one of the interviews I gave, I say there are no losers in this game, because the losers will be the fossil fuel producers. But at the same time, a lot of these countries are also positioned very well on the renewables. So I think the losers are the ones who cannot change. And if you look to the Africa, I think every country more or less imports fossil refined fuels, even the countries with oil and gas. The refining often takes place outside of Africa, where the refineries are, and then shipped back to the countries. Nigeria as an example, although building now a refinery. So a lot of countries can replace import. A lot of countries who maybe have not so strong renewables often have minerals, which are also needed in solar panels, in wind turbines, in hydrogen technologies. And there are few, say, export champions. But often those have smaller domestic markets. So I think there's enough of the hydrogen economy where everybody can win, but one has to see the opportunity and also change to this opportunity. I think that's my answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're going to stick to this for today. Again, thank you to our speakers. Thank you for everyone who took the time to join us and listen today. And I look forward to having you join again tomorrow, same time, same place, same link. And tomorrow we will delve even deeper into the opportunity for Africa. And we will also talk a lot about commercial aspects, plus also we'll get a deep dive on the very interesting technology developed by Star Scientific. So I hope you will be joining again, and I wish you an excellent rest of the day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.